Hey, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, before I saw my first comment from a human being today, I got a notification from TikTok that a comment had been removed for my safety and the safety of the people in my chat. So, good morning, Danielle, Debs, Bob. Thank you all for being here. And again, to the shock and surprise of no one, right? Hmm. So, if true, hilarious. Uh, in suppressed news this morning, the top story is about how the Department of Justice has charged a man for allegedly threatening to kill people on the Epstein list. That's the same Epstein list that the Department of Justice says doesn't exist. So, just to point out, uh, formally from the DOJ, the Epstein list doesn't exist. And same DOJ is charging people for threatening to unalive people on said Epstein list. Hmm. I'd say we've crossed into idiocracy territory. No, here's the thing. I'm not special. So I'm not saying that, no, that's the thing, Gabby. That's why I was like, did you see that? Before I saw my first comment on TikTok this morning, it said, here, I'll scroll back up to it. It says, comment has been removed. Yeah, it's not a shock at all. I'm not unique. Mm, well, here's how I know it's something. Are you ready? Only happens once in a blue moon. All kinds of other stuff gets through their filter. And so if they're removing a comment without even ever letting you see it, it had to be some vile shit. You know what I mean? So, good morning to you too, TikTok. And for the record, exactly right. Hmm. It could very well just be something getting caught up in a filter, given what they let get through, right? But yeah, sort of an update. Last several days we've kind of been following this saga that is the Epstein list as it refers to Donald J. Trump in 2025. And I just want to point this out. In February, Pam Bondi said she had the Epstein list on her desk and was going to release it to the public 6 months ago. Uh, in the last month or so, Donald Trump said that shit don't exist. By the end of the week, he said the Democrats made it up. Over the weekend, he decided former FBI directors Comey and Wray made it up. And also, late last night, Donald J. Trump was attacking his own party, his own cabinet, his own appointed people for continuing to talk about this Epstein shit. And I will remember that we called them the leopard eating faces party, and this would be them leopards eating that leopard face, right? Morning, Beck. Stace. Bob. Sir. Zeke's here. Yeah. Yep. And more and more people with medicine in their job title are coming out and saying, like, he has pretty late stage congestive heart failure. Um, oh, you're not. The thing about it, Cease, you aren't telling me that. I've been telling other people that. Like, it's Project 2025. It's written in Project 2025 that J.D. Vance made himself God King um, in Project 2025. So we know. Morning, Cease. Yeah, we know. We've been saying that. Yep, yep. She asked about Project Ether. Trump makes Nixon look like the biggest truth teller in history. Right. He said Trump's lying as usual, as per usual. So it is a complete disaster when you're attacking your own people, the people that got you here and handed you all this power. As I've said before, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was attacking J.D. Vance for speaking with Rupert Murdoch. And remember, he sued Rupert Murdoch or Fox News. Yeah. I think they don't realize how woefully unpopular JD Vance is with everybody. Yeah, you know what I've noticed? Zeke, I'm not into the debate of fascist. I don't platform fascists, right? Like the fuck? I want your ideals to die. Why am I giving them oxygen? Right? But I notice nobody wants to debate a socialist. No one, no one's like, hey, what do you think about Gaza? I think it's horrific. I think Israel and the IDF are perpetrators of genocide, and I feel like the U.S. and Israel are unfortunate allies. I feel like they, for the longest time, were supposed to represent some sort of tactical allyship, but it's pretty clear to me that you got to draw a line in the sand and say, across this you shall not. And when you're committing a fucking genocide in Gaza, sorry guys, can't support that shit. What the fuck? And oh, by the way, Israel's bombing multiple countries, Yemen and Iran. Like, I don't support that shit. I don't think I don't. I think the majority of people do not support that shit. But there are elected officials that have been bought and paid for, and they're Democrats too. And while we're on that tip, because it came to the front of my face, I saw Hakeem Jeffries' face while I was talking just now. Um, remember that some of people that you want to be your Democratic leader, they take hundreds of thousands of dollars from AIPAC. That's Joe Biden. That's Kamala Harris. That's Hakeem Jeffries. Sucks, doesn't it? You can't trust those people because you know that they put the ideals of the Israeli people over Americans. And they let Americans die. For how long? And for what? A couple dollars? That's the problem with politics, is that it used to be seen as an act of selfless service. And it's not that. People get in there and try to grift off the position because it honestly, for most people that finally are able to get into a public office, they're not poor people like us. You know what's funny? You know why AOC's doing a bang on job as a politician? You know why AOC's doing a bang on job as a politician? Because she got a fucking pay raise. She was a fucking server before she became an elected official. For sure, it was a pay raise for her and a lifestyle shift. But for most of these fucks, it's not. They came from like real estate and oil. And you know what I mean? Like most of the people that get into political power are wealthy people because they have to fund a race. They have to fund their own political race, right? It's why I believe in the American Socialist Party. We need people to stand up and say, "I'm done playing this fucking Democratic and Republican thing. I'm done playing this shit." It's just like I talk to people all day about credit cards. Fuck these credit cards. Fuck Democrats and Republicans. You sold out to Russia and Israel. We need a new political party. Look, I'm as clean as it gets. I got no criminal record. I was in the Marine Corps Infantry. I went to Purdue twice, right? Married, no kids, homeowner, right? I got something at stake. I'm a disabled veteran. I don't want to lose my benefits. I don't want anybody else to feel that at all. I don't even want to even feel that anxiety, right? And I want to talk about a moment for a moment some things that I think a lot of people don't understand. I get kind of agitated at the prevalence of communism, and I know why. I know why. The prevalence of communism is predicated on violence, which people are they are familiar with, and they see. And I'm not talking to anyone I know, because no sane human being I know is calling themselves a fucking communist. Because if you read about the history of communism and how it does not have it does not have the mechanisms at its disposal that it needs to do what they're saying they're going to do. And this is in the United States, what we call this is the failure of trickle down economics. That is akin to the failure of communism. What happens is that you live in a capitalist society and a lot of the levers are capitalist levers. And you can say that you're a communist entity. And when you get into power, you can say that all you want, but when you have a market economy that is competitive in your within the confines of your country, communism won't work. You can't just take think about this. Think about how much blood there has been spilt over trying to get wealthy landowners and farm owners to crop share. I didn't even say fucking pay people. I said share your yield. How much blood had to be spilled for people to figure out that, like, it's a lie and a myth, and most of the ways communism has been achieved is through violent coups, violent political coups. Those things don't last. This is America. We just do shit differently here. So we have to choose socialism. We have to say, hey, the cost of living is too high and the value of the human life is too high. For all American citizens, we say these things are human rights: universal health care, education, income, and housing. We demand equality. This fucking anti immigrant shit, it has to die. This is a nation of immigrants. It was built by immigrants. If you're a white person, if you look like me, if you look like this, your people aren't from here. You fucking idiots. You are the fucking immigrant. So when you ask me, did you watch Mehdi Hassan debate these people? No, no. Why are you giving them air? What is wrong with me saying I'm pro equality and there aren't a group of people that I dislike, that I have like preconceived notions against? Maybe Russians, that I have like a preconceived notion that you're like don't like Americans. And there's plenty of people from all over the world that don't like Americans. That's fine. But they don't like the American ideal that they have molded over time based on the things that this country's done. We are being judged on the things that we do constantly on a world level, and it has worldwide implications. The prevalence of fascism in the United States lets it prevail worldwide. Our culture is our chief export. How we do shit here is how people do shit all over the world. The success, for example, the success on the front lines in Ukraine on behalf of Ukraine is not because of Ukraine. It's because of brilliant warfighters who ran to the front line from all over the world. I'm not just saying Americans. This isn't an American speaking on American exceptionalism. But that war's not being fought because Ukraine is a robust militaristic country. That's not what it is. They got reinforcements from the world because the world saw that that was an illegal invasion. And you have to really dig deep to find yourself siding with Russia and siding with Israel and siding with this regime and also debating them and platforming them. I want to see them snuffed. I don't give a shit what any of them have to say. People come to me all the time. You hear what Miller said? No. Is he unalived yet? Well, no. He was just on TV. Oh, that's wild. You mean the cameraman didn't turn that camera upside down and see how if he could use it as a hammer? Oh, that's too bad. I'm tired of seeing them get a platform. There's a reason I'm here. There's a reason I'm here, and I do it the exact polar opposite everybody else does. I watched a 15-minute YouTube video today. 15 minutes. In 7.5 minutes, there were 4 ads. That's what monetization looks like. Is it an effective form of delivery of my thoughts to have commercials? Is that in your best interest? As someone who desperately is seeking some remedy to this system that we are confined in. Our options are forced labor or freedom. Those are your choices. The rich, the powerful, deeply invested into private prison systems. This regime, its ilk, they want to imprison their political enemies. They want to take poor and disabled and women and children and make them work the fields in place of migrants. Your Handmaid's Tale came true. It's almost as if you give shit oxygen. What do you expect to happen? What is it? Something mirrors reality. There's a reason. There's a reason I try to get on here and every day when people are looking for who's to blame here, and I've said Vladimir Putin's giving Donald Trump instruction. And the problem is that there's a language barrier. That Vladimir Putin's first language is not English, and Donald Trump has the brain of a fourth grader. So when one of you is stupid and the other one doesn't speak the language naturally, shit is going to be chaotic and fucked up. And he's going to try to rule by fiat, which is all these executive orders and presidential orders. What we're learning from is our mistakes. We gave too much power to these people. I'm not trying to sit here and say we need to eliminate the government. I'm saying we need to elect socialists. We need to elect people who are pro equality. This means they're not racist or sexist or bigots. They're not Kristen Hillenbrand, for example. They're not Amy Klobuchar, right? Who will call herself one member of a party but work with the other, right? People who are committed to their communities, their states, and this country, and it's thriving, right? I keep saying I'm not gonna ask for money, and I keep looking at I have animals, and I have to take them to the vet, and it's like I have to choose. Do I just throw this $1,000 away, or do I go get these animals taken care of and hold my breath and hope that people just don't give up because shit doesn't happen on the fucking spin of a nickel, right? When you got to realize that I have to be very meticulous about the choices that I make, and I keep looking at my bank account even when I have money, and I'm like, you got to realize I could throw this $1,000 into a bank account. We could apply to be a political party with the FEC and get fucking denied, and then that $1,000 is what kind of thrown away, right? If I'd have raised it or asked for it, it's even worse for me, right? Because now I asked other people for money. So what I have to constantly have on my mind is I have to have all my ducks in a row before I do. There's a reason people you find only wealthy people run for political office. Think about you got to take care of all your needs, right? And then you also have to have money that you don't care what happens to it. Most people I know don't have that. There's a reason that there are two prevailing political parties in the United States. There's a reason that you feel like it doesn't matter who's in power, nothing really happens. There's a fucking reason, and it's because they're all far wealthier than any of us will ever be, and they have disposable income. And it's something that I have to stomach every day. Should we be actively fundraising? Fuck yes, we should be actively fundraising, but we need more people, and there's ways to get it. It costs money. And so as I start to pull the scope back, and it's like, oh, I need to invest in myself. The show needs a wider audience before we become political parties start fundraising. We need a more consistent, wider audience. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. There's nothing I can do about it. But what it has to have is more eyeballs on it to justify an expense on it. There's nothing that I can do about this. Eventually, people will turn away from Jubilee. That's my fucking hope. Eventually, people will get tired of looking into the sun. Eventually, people will get tired of tasting the bitter pill. I don't know, man. People will get tired of watching a white person tell an American citizen, Mehdi Hassan, you're going to have to get out. You first. If you don't think this is our country, then I don't want you in my country. If you don't think this land is our land, if you don't think immigrants built this country, if you don't think that, if you're a white person and you don't think you're an immigrant, you are the problem. And there was no like, we took it. Dude, do you know how many people we double crossed to establish the United States and its territories? Do you know how many promises we broke? Do you know how disloyal we've been? We have we have an opportunity to change this. Yeah, Zeke, it was just hard to watch from there because I'm just like, why are we platforming these fascists? Why are we giving it oxygen? Letting it breathe? Letting some angry, ignorant person get that idea in their head that maybe they hadn't had yet. And now they're going to start repeating it. And my thing is, I'm sitting over here saying like, hey, if you're a woman or a person of color or a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, you're welcome here. You're safe here. Stop ogling the fucking Jubilee video where they're racist and sexist and homophobic and transphobic, and stop looking at the ideals that you hate, the things that you can't stand, and look at, well, what's going to solve this problem? Is it the eradication of those people that say those things? Is that the life that you plan to live? I hope you understand that that is a fruitless endeavor because you live in the digital age. And you who have taken up this cross to debate fascists are largely doing so against bots and against uneducated, poor people that are the exact people this regime used to get into power. And you choose to platform it and debate it. So I'm more disappointed seeing someone that I like debate a bunch of racists and fascists. It's unfortunate. And no, I'm not doing that dog and pony show. 1v40 type shit. Get fucked. Universal healthcare, education, income, and housing. Equality. Join a union. You see how the messaging from a socialist platform is nonviolent. That doesn't mean that I'm not capable of it. It just means I'm above it. I don't see getting my way by force as an option. You have to choose it. You have to decide, this is what I want, right? A lot of people have dumb thoughts and they say stupid shit. Oh, I don't want government handouts. Really? What happens when you lose your job? Oh, you apply for unemployment? So how about that government handout? That's also socialism, by the way, unemployment. Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, all socialism. Those are social safety nets. Do you know a socialist is a proponent of social safety nets as a means of supporting the least of us, the poor, the disabled, the, give me your sick and tired and huddled masses or something like that, or some shit, right? That's how we're supposed to be here. Take in the immigrants, right? Take in the poor. I knew shit was fucked when I was a little kid. My family, I've told this story before, I'm going to tell it again. My family, when we moved to Mooresville, Indiana, when we first got there, we went to this old church in an old ass building and with steep ass stairs too. And I remember my dad saying, I'm not paying this place all this money for this rickety ass shit. And within 3 years, they raised several $1 million and built a brand new fucking church with a big ass soup kitchen. And my mom ran that fucking soup kitchen. And I can tell you that one of the main reasons my mom ran that fucking soup kitchen is 100% if she didn't do it, it wouldn't get used. People used it to make their kids food and shit. Feed the baseball team. So my mom on Wednesday and Thursday nights would come in there every now and then and just start cooking. Just lay out food because there's people all over this fucking thing. They should just be not hungry. Hmm? Fed the youth group, fed Bible study for most of my life. Do you know why? Because if she didn't do that, it wouldn't get used. Not to feed the public, not to feed people. When we lived in Illinois, when I grew up outside Chicago, my mom worked at a soup kitchen and she used to take me. That shit worked every day. Within a decade, the soup kitchen system went from open every day, serving food all day, to being relegated to the church. And again, if it hadn't been for my mom stepping in there and making sure that it was actually being used, it wouldn't have been. People just stopped. We got told the problem was too big to solve. And the people that told you that are the people that own the media, and they're the people that own. I'm just telling you the truth. I know people don't like hearing it, but there's a reason that you've been told your whole life socialism's a bad thing. But here's what's crazy: socialist policies win. It's just a fact. Social safety nets people give a fuck about. Yeah, it turns out not having to hit rock motherfucking bottom. This place ain't so bad. But don't you think it would be better if everybody just had a base income of $2,000 a month from the government? Don't you think if you got guaranteed health care and you didn't have to pay hundreds of dollars a month for it or hundreds of dollars to use it or possibly get denied, don't you think that's like better than what we have now? Do you think that's real and achievable? Because it is in 33 of 34 developed countries. In fact, all the healthcare companies that exist in the United States and charge Americans for their service isn't even a shred of the profit that those same companies make managing healthcare worldwide on plans they don't charge for. So we could have this healthcare, and instead Americans pay for the Israeli people's healthcare and education. So we socialize Israel, which isn't real, which was founded in 1948 by David Ben-Gurion, who was then the head of the Jewish Agency. Okay? As a means of mimicking the United States imperialist and expansionist ways. And I would call it a failed state when you have to resort to genocide. We should stop that. hmm But here's the problem. There's too much profit in violence. In the United States, we have the military industrial complex. hmm Fortunately for Americans, the military industrial complex has been reduced to primarily just giving Elon Musk money, which we could just stop doing. hmm And we could just tax billionaires. We could just decide to do that. And the only way we're going to do that is by establishing the American Socialist Party and having people that are qualified and more qualified than the elected official in your area and taking them on and stand up today. It doesn't have to be a veteran. You just have to not be a fucking coward, right? You just have to decide, hey, broken clock's right twice a day, Ange. Or once a day? Twice a day. Whatever. And a lot of the people's problem with socialism is they can't figure out the economic impact of um, limiting your costs for rent, limiting the use of our taxes, hmm limiting interest. I work in finance. Okay, I try to explain every day to every person I talk to how bad interest is for the rest of your life. And just so you know, that how I explain it resonates with an extremely high percentage of the people I talk to. I'd say like 60 plus percent in the last 30 days alone. Okay. Now keep in mind, I wouldn't be talking about this shit if I was a common folk and I was just closing 35% of my deals and shit. But I'm not. I'm closing 60. So clearly, what's coming out of my mouth is fucking working. But I've tried to explain in simpler terms at my job that the billionaires that own all these social media companies, that's your Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, all that stuff, that's who helped Donald Trump win this election. And the most powerful thing that you could do is stop using those things. Now, it's different, for example, when you're fundraising for a political party. We'll have to kind of go back on that. So there's another reason I kind of am dragging my heels, right? I really don't want to use all these other platforms. I'm going to have to, but I'll just use Hootsuite. Get it all put on one, right? So I've said, how do you fight this regime? How do you fight all this misinformation? Well, the first thing we did is we stopped watching mainstream media because we saw how they're bending the knee, kissing the ring, licking boot and shit. And where are we going to find the truth? And fortunately, we've sat here every day, 8 plus months, right? A lot of people were up in arms recently about a recommended sentence for the person that unalived Breonna Taylor, where they were going to serve 1 day. Hey, they got 33 months. Okay. Here is a Reuters story. U.S. judge sentences ex-police officer to 33 months for violating the civil rights of Breonna Taylor. Brent Hankinson, sentenced on Monday. And remember all this cruelty that people keep platforming. Morning. And remember that all that hate is learned behavior. You said my mic's going in and out? I don't know about that. Maybe. But yeah, the migrants in the ICE jail in Miami were made to kneel and eat like dogs. So, yep, there's some cruel people here. Yeah. 8:35 a.m. Hey, we got a kind of breaking news. Uh, I mean, this came out 7 minutes ago, so people clamoring for the news. The Trump administration seeks meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell over the Epstein case. So I have a feeling she's also gonna get unalived. I don't know. I don't know if we talked about it, but apparently, here's secular talk. Kyle Kalinske uh, talking about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, you think Angie asked, you don't think he'll pardon her, and I'm thinking like in exchange for her silence, like in no attempt to redeem herself, she decides to take the bribe instead of spurning Donald Trump and making sure that these victims. I mean, she's a woman. She may not be a bad person. Dickie McGee's sex. It's Kyle. But yeah, here's him saying Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein ran a child sex trafficking ring. Um, so not just a PDF, right? And hey, isn't her conviction state and not federal? Uh, yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think he could really do anything. I hope she gets her story out. I hope all these victims get some sense of justice out of this. I don't know what the solution is. Oh, Dickie McGee's axe is one of Kyle's signature sayings. Nice. Anyhow, So again, I think they're holding their breath until the midterms. Yep. They want you to look away and get over it. They want the media to move on from it. They're trying to, I saw something about Trump's DOJ reopened an inquiry into Obama, into Hillary Clinton's emails, anything but Maria Farmer's story. Hmm. But yeah, the House grinds to a halt as the GOP tries to shut down Epstein votes. So that story from Axios. And then, as part of all this fallout with Jeffrey Epstein, yeah, that's what I'm saying, Zeke. I wouldn't be meeting with Donald Trump. That's for sure. Think about if you're Ghislaine Maxwell. At the very least, you have to have some suspicion that Donald Trump is responsible for Jeffrey Epstein's death. His own best friend. He's a turncoat. He's the ultimate fucking turncoat. And he's ruthless. He'd even do it to his own friend. And again, from what I understand, this is a result of drug abuse. I just want to make sure we keep saying it. Cocaine and ketamine, to name a couple. And blood thinners. And he has congestive heart failure. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I don't know that I said that on the show yesterday, Angie, but yeah, I think I said that to my wife yesterday. Uh, Ghislaine Maxwell and Ivana would go around to schools looking for girls and give them their phone number. Say, give me a call, you're a cutie, let's party. So they're all fucking horrible people. Keep in mind, this is me absolutely saying, like, Donald Trump's family was in on it. It's like they knew that he was a PDF and they supported the hobby. I play video games, I play card games. I'm getting ready to play D&D on every other Sunday and I'm going to make content out of it. Um, but you know what I don't do? Kids. I'm not a parent, not trying to be one. I see kids as precious. I'm trying to keep you safe, right? And you got motherfuckers out here that straight up look at a child as fuckable. What? I'm just trying to help it make it to 18 so it can like taste freedom. Just try that on for a minute, see what it tastes like. Oh, 100%. I think that I think Donald Trump is responsible for I can think of at least two deaths directly. At least two. Yeah, they're gonna doctor the hell out of some files and release them. Hmm. Yep. Remember, this administration put 1,000 FBI agents on the Epstein files and had them get rid of all the mentions of him. Yep. Marjorie Taylor Greene is running a fade, So just so everybody knows, because I'm sure people are gonna keep saying like, "Man, I keep finding myself agreeing with Marjorie Taylor Greene." Yeah, yeah, it's part of the chaos, part of the mixed messaging, part of the confusion. It's all with a reason. It's all for a reason. You got to remember, she's got to reel it back in because there's some percentage chance she's still the January 6th pipe bomber. I don't think that people understand how the chain of evidence works anymore. You can't delete shit anymore. I absolutely refuse to believe that there aren't like three copies of everything. Sorry. Things are far too important. Hmm. That's why you gotta be real careful what you post on the internet, because that shit's forever, right? Well, remember, they fired, at least to my knowledge, most of the senior members of the FBI. And then they actually, from what I understand, they do not have a good relationship with, what's that dude's name? Cash Patel. So, because they have insane people as leaders, they don't do shit. Right. So yeah, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene on social media saying if you tell the base of people who support you of deep state treasonous crimes, election interference, blackmail, and rich and powerful elite evil cabals, you must take down every enemy of the people. If not, the base will turn and there's no going back. Dangling bits of red meat no longer satisfies. They want the whole steak dinner and will accept nothing else. Now understand, Marjorie Taylor Greene's talking about Republicans that are that she knows, hey, if we don't come out with this stuff, like they're going to turn on us. And remember, I've been telling you this is the death of the Republican Party. I've been saying it. Okay, knock a Nazi out. Right. This is what I hate seeing. See this dude rolling up on protesters, telling them this American flag. Knock that dude out. Give a fuck. And again, I'll say it. If you didn't serve, if that flag hasn't been like a big part of your life, don't stand up for it now. You ain't give a fuck about that fucking flag. It's about power and control. I'm not stupid. Boycotting Israel? I didn't even know. I guess we gotta look that up. Did you know it's illegal to boycott Israel? Choosing boycotts not approved or sanctioned by the U.S. government, such as the air leave. This means complying with certain requests from foreign countries or national news boycott is illegal. BDS activities. It's your First Amendment right. Look what I found. Introduced in 2017, the Israel Anti-Boycott Act. And it was a proposed anti-BDS law and amendment to the Export Administration Act of 1979, designed to allow U.S. states to enact laws requiring contractors to sign pledges promising not to boycott any goods from Israel or their contracts would be terminated, and to make it a federal crime punishable by a maximum sentence of 20 years imprisonment for American citizens to encourage or participate in boycotts against Israel and Israeli settlements in occupied Palestinian territories. The proposed law was a response to the BDS's movement call for boycotts, divestment, and sanctions against Israel. As of 2020, 32 state legislations have already passed bills similar to the IABA. If the law is passed in the federal legislature, it would be easier to enforce. Critics of the law and supporters of BDS claim that it is unconstitutional. They claim that a participation in politically motivated boycotts is a form of free speech protected by the First Amendment, and that anti BDS laws are a form of lawfare. IABA was drafted by Senators Ben Cardin, a Democrat from Maryland, and Rob Portman, a Republican from Ohio, and introduced to the 115th session of Congress in 2018. The ACLU Susan wins against your right to free speech. So, what states have passed IABA similar laws? Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Connecticut, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, and Wisconsin, according to Human Rights Watch. The laws typically prohibit state entities from and contracting with businesses that boycott Israel or Israeli settled territories, sometimes requiring certification that the contractor does not engage in such boycotts. Some laws also apply to public universities and other institutions. The ACLU and other organizations have raised concern about these laws, arguing they infringe on free speech and political expression. They also argue that some laws are overly broad and potentially punish businesses for actions that are not discriminatory. So keep this in mind, that the IABA and what we're talking about, these are aimed at businesses, not at people. It's still an obstruction of free speech for the state to not allow you to contract with people that support anti-Israel movement. All the more reason to do so, I think. All the more reason to boycott, protest, and strike. And I make sure to use my platform to say the Israel of today is not the Israel of the Bible. It's been resold and remolded and repackaged. Israel represents an allyship that is soured. It's no longer useful. They've lost their way. They are the stormtroopers, except even more cruel. We keep going this way, we're going to end up with an Israeli president. And given that American tax dollars literally subsidize Israeli education and healthcare, remember we are giving them socialism. Not for us, not for Americans though. Well, one of the things I saw were some pictures, and I know why the Epstein shit has been taking so long, why there hasn't been accountability. Because there's people in them pictures like Bill Gates and Bill Clinton. There's powerful people in them pictures with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Them two's just a start. There's people in them pictures that are in pictures with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. It must be like just some rich white person. And then you'll find out it's like they own like a third of Asia, and you're like, oh, there's a reason that the Epstein list and all the stuff tying Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein is muddy. Because there's a lot of fucking powerful people. Remember, I told you Donald Trump donated in excess of $35 million dollars over the course of his life to Democratic candidates, including Hillary Clinton, including Kamala Harris. He got drunk on power. Remember, I told you absolute power corrupts absolutely. Pam Bondi's in one too as a young girl, like before she was 18. It's like Pam Bondi was groomed. It's like, of course, Donald Trump would employ a victim. Yeah, I don't understand how the U.S. has more power than 13 other countries, right? A UN Council of 13 countries approved aid to be sent to Palestine, but the U.S. vetoed it. So now they can't send any aid. I just want to continue to remind you how many people are we going to let them unalive? Like, how does a two-third vote or a majority vote not work? And the U.S. has the power to veto? Like, that's crazy. Crazy. In the Colbert saga, where recently Stephen Colbert came out in his show and announced that it had been canceled, here's Jon Stewart going right back at his own company's parent company. So, see, there's some shit that I would change, right? I would cede some power. If I were the United States, I would not make it so we had the power to override 13 other countries' vote to send aid to Palestine. The good news is they're poking holes in the system. Yeah, why do we decide? I agree. It's just cruelty. And again, remember, this regime has been advised by a person named oh, I can picture him. Curtis Yarvin. The a blogger living in his mom's basement that is an accelerationist and a technocrat. Appealed to J.D. Vance. It appeals to Elon Musk. It makes them feel powerful. It's like he wrote them into power, right? There's a reason why I feel like forming the American Socialist Party and building a workers' party, building a pro union party is the future. Stacy said, I don't know about you guys, but the American slogan while I was growing up was sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and all them skeletons are coming back. Yeah. Uh, Malcolm Jamal Warner died. He's 54. I think that the people in power are old and they're dying, and that we have to decide what we want to do and be in the future. And that we could absolutely, you can absolutely have it better in the future. We just have to decide, you know? I'm a big fan of leave people the fuck alone. I'm a big fan of mind your own fucking business. There's too much about politics that isn't enough of minding your own business. You know what I mean? Like when the president is writing legislation about trans people, and I'm like, stay the fuck out of people's underwear. What the fuck is wrong with you? Theo Huxtable. He got caught by a rip current, so it wasn't like he died naturally. He died an unnatural final destination type death. Guys. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say there are people like, oh my God, why, how, and it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's that goddamn motion. It's very sad. Yeah. Yep. Jimmy Buffett is another one of those people. Now he's long gone. Rest in peace. But Jimmy Buffett, uh, if I remember correctly, seen in pictures with Trump and Epstein. People, again, here's the difference between rational, normal human beings and like everybody else. A rational human being says whatever so will may come. Like whatever the fuck you did, it's gonna come out. Okay, we'll deal with it. We'll vote them out. They'll resign. Whatever. And the Republicans cheerlead it instead. And it's like an initiation. When a Democrat fucks up, it's like the end of your political career. When a Republican fucks up, it's the beginning. Now you're under a hero arc, right? You're forgetting not to put on the live chat. Yep. Like I said, I'm a big proponent of mind your motherfucking business. All these one, two, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Eight non-white cis males in that entire photo, I think. And again, I think the Democrats are playing mum's the word. And they're not saying shit about the 2024 U.S. election until the midterms, until they have some power to hold the president accountable. Um, One of the things, again, it takes radical change in order to change. We need a socialist in office who will add 3 seats to the Supreme Court and turn that shit progressive and force them to adopt an enforceable code of ethics and potentially remove other Supreme Court justices for the shit that they've done and penalize them legally 100%, and then make this justice system in the United States a nonpartisan entity. And that means that FBI, CIA, NSA make it nonpartisan. Make it a group of people with a ton of experience that are tied into the systems that can maintain some level of ethics. Power, money, and small dicks, and in many cases, botched penis surgeries. hmm in some cases, and a lot of fucking that they're hiring. I just want to remind you that every time the RNC goes somewhere, Grinder shuts down in that area. And I think that the activities of the people at the RNC are indicative of their leadership. And I'm not putting it down. I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying. It's a bunch of dudes fucking each other. It's just straight up. It's the Republican Party. hmm those are just facts. So, because there ain't no, show me a pretty Republican, and I will show you that your standards are on the motherfucking floor for what is attractive. Yeah, a little sword dancing, a lot of butthole, and I'm just that's yeah. And they project their guilt onto the LGBTQIA plus community because they're like, well, I'm not. At least I'm not gay, and it's like, no, you're just clearly confused to the point of being conflicted, to the point of being a hypocrite. Like, I don't actually care that you're gay. It's just wild that you hate gay people, and also, you know what I mean, and also are blacking out Grinder when you go somewhere to talk about how much you hate the LGBTQIA plus community. That's the RNC. That's what the Republican National Convention does. Is they go around and talk about how horrible people are for not just being straight and white, right? I don't know that it's fight fire with fire, Zeke. I don't know that California is going to do the same thing, is the response. It feels an awful lot like we're capitulating to fascism. We're deciding to be as equally fascist as a right? It's because they don't have time to teach us about socialism. That's what it is. Yeah. Can't just all love and respect each other. There You have to absolutely have a group of people that you dislike. I haven't. I I happen to just not be a big fan of bigots. It just is what it is, right? And there's all kinds of bigots. I just chose not to be one. Here's a New York Times article that I'm pretty sure is why Angie said, "Oh, and the gerrymandering, what the hill say is saying it's a land grab to get the farmland." Said the recent talk of places to gerrymander as a ploy. Said they'd be in court. Yeah, what they're trying to gerrymander and include these big tracts of farmland in democratic areas. Yeah. hmm So they're trying to basically uh, combine. They're trying to win districts by way of gerrymandering. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you didn't think fascism was going to take hold in the United States, I'm sorry, you must have never sat in a duty lobby. Some of the shit that people are willing to sit and say over the internet, where I'm just like, look, I've definitely said to someone else before on the internet, what you've just admitted to is such a heinous crime that I can't play with you. So I'm going to leave. I hope whoever needs to see this sees this. I'm going to report it. Good luck. And if you didn't think that the way people were talking to each other on the internet was going to find its way into the better part of society, I'm sorry. Sorry. Remember what won this election: cheating and promising plenty of violence. Didn't say war, right? Obviously promised to be the president for peace. Um, it looks like there are multiple wars going on all over the world. hmm Yeah, I think if you're a bigot, I have no use for you. You can't justify disliking someone you don't know based on their age, race, color, religious denomination. You do, though. People do. Absolutely. We do, absolutely. To our detriment. Right? We absolutely judge a book by its cover. I'm sorry that a whole generation of kids didn't get Kamala Harris as president because damn, I thought she was going to be a good step in the right direction. The most experienced political candidate in American history. Had literally served at every level of government. You can tell now why they didn't want her to be president. That's for fucking sure. And remember, one of the reasons that this election wasn't um, heavily scrutinized and researched and analyzed is because of Donald Trump. They changed the rules of elections. And when we were doing our research to find out why the Fed wasn't really doing anything, it's because they don't want to chill voters. They don't want to turn people off from voting. A chilled voter is someone who would like take off work, miss a day of school, show up, stand in line to vote, and then not vote because they don't think their vote matters, right? Seems like your vote matters. Your vote matters so much. Within 7 months of getting into office, within 6 months of getting into office, Donald Trump's already got the DOJ hunting down voter rolls. Right after I told Cease uh, that she was fear mongering, I don't think that they'll get anywhere. Not religious, but it felt divine when she picked Tim Waltz. Yeah, and as you've learned about Tim Waltz and his family and shit, and you realize like he's a really good politician and really relatable, and a lot of the things that he did in office that made people like him are socialist, hmm like school lunches and stuff like that. hmm Just want to point that out. Whenever you hear about like a beloved political politician, that you don't hear about them being like violent warlords. You hear about them passing socialist policy, progressive policy that benefited their constituents or their city or their state or yeah. I follow Hope because she's like sound around the same age bracket. I think. I feel like she's in her 20s, maybe approaching 30s. I don't know. Yeah. She Hope reminds me of my wife. Like my wife goes and donates platelets on Sundays with her mom. You know what I mean? She works at a hospital. She works at a OBGYN. Um, she's the check-in, check-out girl. Tim Waltz reminds you of your dad. That's good. Tim Waltz should remind you of the good men that you've known in your life that were stand up people. hmm It got moved up, which is typically a good thing. Albie. So what was initially scheduled for September got moved to August. They actually moved it closer to us. So this upcoming month, the Rockland, New York case, Hope's 24. See, we're less than 20 years apart. We're in the same sort of like generational gap. Yeah. It, Tim Waltz gives me hope that I could one day be an elected official. That you don't have to be like a lawyer and a lifetime politician and but I also don't have the want. I don't want I don't want to put myself in unnecessary danger. I don't want to die young. It reminds me of one of my favorite songs ever. If you know, you know. Yeah, Tim's awesome. Yeah, and you can tell like you're a decent old man when you got decent kids. You know, when you got someone. Didn't say not willing, by the way. Don't wanna die so young. They're protesting at Alligator Auschwitz today. Forever, forever. I didn't even know there's a ICE women's prison. No, it was that was Colors by Joji, or Attention, Attention by Joji. Uh, just to show a little bit of attention. Yeah. Without you, I'm afraid God's gonna teach me a lesson. So quick you could eat my dust. He absolutely crushed that song, by the way. If you would listen to that YouTube link, Joji, who's not really known for that, absolutely crushed the song. Like for that being alive, he's crushing. I'm a big fan of like live music and unique performances. I don't know what happened in my brain, but hearing a remix of a song, it does something for me. Where like I'll have like the appreciation of the original, but then I'll go watch um, somebody re-sing someone else's music, and I like that version even better, to the point where I'm still going back to the original and then back to that, back to the original, and just I appreciate its art, right? It's obviously I'd love to have people write write more original music, write more original, great original music. But it's almost like that's too much of an ask. Al B said, "Hey Jared, thanks for all your time doing this. Hey, you're welcome." I try to convince myself that this is what I was going to be doing anyway. I would be sitting in here every day before the world wakes up, trying to figure out what the fuck's going on in the world, especially after November 5th, and trying to find a path forward. Like how do we get through this, right? And understand that you have options in life. You can say, I want everyone to want this, and we do this together. Or you could decide you want to force your ideology on someone else. I'm just not about forcing how I feel on someone at all. And that's the kind of world we live in now, where people absolutely are going to try to force their ideology on you. And I choose an ideology that I want you to pick. I want you to choose to not be oppressed by a system that's rigged against you. But you got to decide that. And Stubbs. Dude, I was embarrassed for Donald Trump when he got trounced by Kamala Harris in the debates. I was like, oh my God, she's wiping the floor with him. But then again, I watched uh, Community, the debate episodes, one of my favorite ones. So that's the extent of my debate experience, by the way. But I also want to remind everyone that I would be careful now that we know that there are 32 states that passed IABA like laws that are attempts to strike down any BDS movements as it refers to commerce. Um, be wary about how anti Israel you are. Um, be very cognizant of that. Um, know that any attempt you make to make your thoughts known on that situation, you just got to be really careful because they are trying to construe your thoughts about Israel and conflate them and turn you into an anti Semite, and then you lose all your credibility. What I would tell anyone is that I'm not religious, I'm an atheist. I don't think lesser of a person when I find out that they're openly religious. I have higher expectations of you as a person. You think so highly of yourself that you read a book and decided this is my God. And you better be good. You better be good or you better get that God out of your mouth. And that's on a lot of people. There are a lot of people that are of a lot of walks of faith that should just shut the fuck up. I'm what's called a heretic. Meaning I grew up in the church. I was confirmed in the Methodist church when I was like 15, 16 years old. So when I was awake, aware, and alive, instead of like too young to remember. So as I said, most people, once you turn 18, it's the wild, wild west out here. Once you become an adult, what God? Instead, people become their own, they become their own God. And some men get too much power and too much money too fast, and they just realize if I just keep stepping on people, one day I'll be on top of all of them. And that's how you get thousand or so billionaires. I don't even know how many there are. Sorry about that. But there's some odd number of billionaires, and there are none ethical, and every one of them had to sacrifice all of the people under them to get what they got. Don't ever fucking forget I told you that. There's no way to achieve that level of wealth without it involving you taking advantage of a whole bunch of fucking people. And those same people, those billionaires who took advantage of all those people, are the same people partying with Jeffrey Epstein. As I told you, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Think about what level of hubris, what level of ego it takes to openly hosting a party, Donald Trump, with 28 underage girls, and the only other guest was Jeffrey Epstein. And there be videos and photos and newspaper articles written about you and your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and how y'all were best friends for the better part of 2 decades. 902 billionaires in the United States. Thank you, Sean. And I'm willing to bet that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, when they did host parties, like Diddy said, where Diddy said, if you want to host a party, you invite Donald Trump. How wide does that net cast? I don't care. But I want them. I want all them cards turned over, and I want to know every one of those motherfuckers. I want to know every person who ever went to one of them fucking parties and had a good time. hmm And I want to know who that person is. Don't care if it's a man or woman. Don't care about the. When I say don't care about the victims, meaning like I want to know who the perp is. I don't give a fuck about adding to the list of victims' names in my mind. I don't need that. But and I'll definitely hear their stories. I need to know who else is in them pictures because I could tell you I saw Bill Gates, I saw Bill Clinton, I saw Donald Trump, I saw Jeffrey Epstein in them photos. Who else is there? Warren Buffett? Hmm? Hmm? And people say, "Oh, you don't want to see all the people on them lists." Fuck you talking about? What world leaders? You know those people that bend the knee and kiss the ring internationally? You wonder why they're not on the list? Or why that list isn't being made public? Mark Root. What do you think? Why that list wasn't made public? Jack Smith. Why wasn't that? Why wasn't Jack Smith's Volume 2 made public? Why did Jack Smith allow Donald Trump to become president? I say we need to know what's on this Epstein list. I think when the President of the United States is doing all this to keep this from going public, and there's mum is the word otherwise, everyone and their motherfucking brother outside of Donald Trump is like, no, I don't want to see it because you're on it. And like I told you, I woke up this morning and saw a slide of pictures, a slide deck of pictures, and one of them pictures had Bill Gates in it, and the next picture had Bill Clinton in it, getting a shoulder rub. And, and, I already thought less of Bill Clinton. And, I was too young to vote for him. So, how about them apples? Yes. Well, covering, I don't know that it's illegal. I don't know what is breaking the law about just like not publishing this. I don't understand. Every day I feel like I wake up in the upside down. I am confused as you are. I agree with you, they should be put in the jail that they're building. It's like they're building their own prison cell. I like it. I agree. I think that maybe all of this leads to a major turning point in US political, economic, and social theory. I pray that we're heard. I pray that I'm heard. That when I sit here and say like I don't want you to die broke. I don't want you to live broke. I don't want you to live paycheck to paycheck. I think the government should literally be paying to keep you alive, that you shouldn't have to pay for health care, that you shouldn't have to get student loans to go to college. And the thing about it is, you don't even have to believe in that. It's already happening. So me just saying it out loud, I'm just saying like as a person I support that idea. Even though I have student loans and that I'll be in debt for the rest of my life, I don't care. I want the next generation of kids to not have to worry about that shit. What would you do if money didn't matter? What would you do if I told you you only get to do it once? So you gotta aim as high as you fucking can. You probably are gonna miss. Just so you know. You're probably gonna fail. But the higher you aim, the farther you hit. Hey, instead, they don't they don't teach these kids shit. One of the things I want to close on, when when I started coaching high school sports, I got a job at a charter school. And first meeting of the kids, I had only two seniors on the team. And, I expect you to be leaders, and how you act is how the rest of the kids are going to act. And if you're disciplined and you are a good athlete and a good student, they'll be good student athletes too. Um, I used student loans when the GI Bill, I used my GI Bill to get a degree. So I already have a degree. I went to art school, the graphic design, but the marketing and social media side of that. hmm hmm But I went back to get. So what had happened was, um, Ms. Dina, is I kind of got hoodwinked by Purdue Global. First of all, Purdue Global is not Purdue Online. I'm not saying it's lesser, but it's a Kaplan school. It's not Purdue University. It's just Purdue in name only. Where like going to like Purdue Online would be like actually attending Purdue University just online. And I got recruited by someone who's on West Lafayette's campus. And I even have their name somewhere. But they lied to me. And they told me, and I quote, if you have 1 day of GI benefit, bill benefit remaining, the program is free. So, for the record, as someone who didn't go back to school for a decade because of its cost, when I get contacted by a recruiter and he tells me, "Oh, you're a Marine Corps veteran, you've got GI Bill remaining. Oh, don't worry about your program costs are covered." What he didn't tell me was it actually expires 15 years after you get out. It expired between the time I met this person and started classes. And I'm a good student, so I started going to class, and I'm I'm getting good grades. I'm progressing in the program. When you're working and you're going to school and you get, hey, your GI Bill's not covering this, and you're halfway through a class and you're like, fuck, I just did like 5 or 6 weeks of work. So here's my options. I could say, fuck it, all that work I've done, I'm not doing this shit. Withdraw from the program. I've done that before. Done this before. It happened when I first came home from the Marine Corps. Don't worry, I'll tell that story too one day. I gotta get out of here eventually. But yeah, so they kind of hoodwinked me, and I was like, fuck it, I'll just keep going and I'll just get student loans. I don't have any. 2 years later, I'm in the last year of the program and I'm not liking the direction of it, where I'm like, I don't want to incorporate AI into what I'm doing here. I know how to do it all, right? I'm a know it all, right? I'm like one of those people, like, I know how to do it all. Why the fuck do I need to learn AI? I don't want to use that shit. By the way, hear me using my fucking platform over and over again to tell you, like, you don't want to see what happens when AI replaces people's jobs, because it's not pretty. People just fucking starve. Yeah, that we know of. So I kind of got fucking hoodwinked, and by the time I've got notified that the GI Bill wasn't going to cover my classes, I was already halfway or more through a class. I was like, fuck it. I'll just get student loans. I'll just fucking pay for it, I guess. Fuck. And the fucked up thing was, while I was in this program, I tried to get VRNE to cover it so that I could go become a teacher. and I got declined the first time. But when I went back, and this was within the last year, they were going to pay for me to finish my bachelor's, get the transition to teaching, and then pay for a master's program because it fit within a 3 year window. And shit, that was gonna 150K. They were about to, something like that. They were about to put out, and because I got this job, I had to turn it down. That's why I've said like I just need to go back and finish a political science degree for me. Okay, yeah. Used to wonder what jobs AI will replace, and now I wonder what it won't replace. Yep. And by the way, one of the prevailing thoughts I have from the last few days is the impact representation has on people. My wife and I went and saw the new Superman film on Sunday. We went and saw a double feature. So we went and saw Jurassic World's Rebirth at lunchtime, and then at like 3:45 we went and saw Superman. We had enough time between the movies to run home and let the dogs out too. It was a perfect day in my eyes. Okay. Um, in Superman, one of the other good guys is a black superhero named Mr. Terrific. He has a big black T on his forehead, and he's like a wizard. Think of him like like a wizard. When Mr. Terrific was on the screen and kicking ass, you should have seen the black kids dancing and spinning around in circles and doing handstands and shit. Overrepresentation of seeing someone that looks like them do superhero shit, and that it reminded me how important art is, and how without it, you fail to see some leadership sometimes out of people that are supposed to be leaders, and instead it's the artists that are showing you the way, right? And just to completely spoil both films, one of the things that I found profound about both films is that in both cases where the protagonists, the main characters could make an ethical decision, they chose ethics and morals. Hmm, about that.